What's up, team? How's it going? Today we're just talking about some of the news that's been released with the Liverpool car incident, the ramming on Water Street, and the two Sussex police officers that have been found not guilty of assaulting a 92-year-old amputee. I hope everyone is well. Life is really busy at the minute, but a massive shout out to all of you who have liked, shared and subscribed, and a big shout out to all of our channel members. Thank you for all of your continued support. The weather is absolutely miserable this week. I'm hoping it's going to get better. It was meant to get better this weekend, but it's not started off very well. But I'm hoping it is going to get better. Liverpool police ramming. It has been announced that he's a possible former Royal Marine. I'm going to say possible because it hasn't been confirmed yet. But there is a chance that he's a former Royal Marine. And the stories took some twists and turns. Whatever has happened, it shouldn't have happened, and I genuinely feel really sorry for the people that have injured, their family and friends. But when you look at I first originally looked at it and I thought he basically just come ramming down this street, and then you look at a lot of other videos and comments, it looks like he was possibly provoked. He was trying to make his way down the street, people were having a good time in the street, everyone was in the road, and they basically, because he was trying to make his way through, it looked like people were trying to smash his car or, you know, whack it to tell him to stop driving. And maybe he panicked and sort of just carried on ramming through to get out because he possibly feared he might get attacked. Because I saw basically him trying to make his way through, someone whacked the back of it, he reversed up into this person, which he shouldn't have done. And then they all started smashing his windows and trying to get hold of him. So there is a possible chance that he basically was a bit fearful and ploughed through, which he shouldn't have done. You know, we don't go out there to hurt anyone. The other possible side is that he just basically went through and it was, you know, he was possibly there trying to harm people. We don't know. Let the legal team basically do their job, but it's a chance. It's a possible former Royal Marine, so anyone can do this. We don't know people's full backgrounds, we don't know what's going on in their lives, and we don't know the actual situation until everyone gathers all the intelligence. So maybe I was a bit quick to react originally. I did try to watch it, but I've been shown a few new videos now, and it does look like that he was possibly trying to make his way through traffic and people were just smashing his car, telling him to turn around, which he couldn't do. And then he sort of bumped into a few people, which then made it a lot worse, and it basically escalated from there. And then sadly ended up in about 79 people being injured. But he's being charged with 7 offences, some of them being GBH with a 10, dangerous driving. You know, these are offences that come with possible life imprisonment, you know, possibly around 2 to 16 years in imprisonment for all these different offences. So if he is found guilty, he's going to be locked up for a very, very long time. Next then, the 2 Sussex police officers. There's a 92-year-old amputee in a wheelchair in a care home, sitting there with a serrated knife. Apparently, moments before, he was telling the staff there that he was going to have joy in murdering them. They called the police. The police arrived. There's a man sitting there with a knife in a chair, and they basically have to disarm this 92-year-old. And anything they use, any force they use, has to be reasonable, necessary and proportionate. So you've got to justify it. You've got to justify why you did it. You've got to just to say, you know, the force you used was proportionate. And I think a lot of people don't realise, because a lot of people, I believe from what I've read and seen, think the officers were guilty and they shouldn't have used the force that they used. Ultimately, jury have found them not guilty, so they're not guilty. My thoughts on it: I think it was reasonable, necessary and proportionate. Possibly could have taken a little bit longer to try and talk to him. But like I said, you don't know the full story. And what they're saying is the staff were told the police, this guy, he's got a knife. He's just told us he will take joy in killing us. No matter how old you are and your disabilities, you can still seriously hurt someone with a knife. And police, yes, they're trained to talk people down, but they're not care workers, they're not social workers, they're not psychologists. They are there to basically do a job, and that is to neutralise the threat, make an arrest, gather evidence, and then possibly charge or release. That's the police's job, protect the public. And at that current time, the public were under threat. So they've gone in, and what people who maybe never been in that role, what they did very well was, yes, it was quite quick. It was less than 1:30 from entering the room to basically firing off a taser, pepper spray, and trying to knock the knife out with a baton, is they gave plenty of warnings. It did come out that he was delirious because he has a UTI, which is one of the major symptoms from it. But throughout the whole process, which the police did really well, which I thought they did well, is they were talking to him throughout. So it's like, right, can you drop the knife, please? If you don't drop the knife, you will get sprayed. Can you drop the knife, please, mate? If you don't drop the knife, you will get sprayed. Like, talking to him like that. They then sprayed. What he did with the baton as well, he didn't try to assault him and he didn't try to hurt him. I've seen the video footage. He tried to knock the knife out of his hands with the baton, which is the right thing to do, because police are not trained, they're not mixed martial artists, and no one really should try and do it, to go in hands on and try and disarm anyone with a knife, because it only takes someone to just move the knife really quickly and cut a vein or major artery in your arm or leg when you get too close to him. Okay, you've got to keep your distance. That's what he tried to do correctly. Tried to knock the knife out of a baton. You're not going to try and grab someone's wrist. Trust me, if you're out on the night out, or you're walking down the street and someone's standing you in front of you with a knife, right, and you try to disarm them, more than likely they're going to be quicker and they're going to slash you somewhere, unless you really, really know what you're doing. So if you can try and get something to knock the knife out of his hands, that's what you're going to do. Once again, the female officer was given plenty of warnings why this was happening, because she had the taser out. Plenty of warnings, drop the knife or I'm going to taser you. Plenty of warnings. He didn't drop the knife, so they tasered him. What people need to realise as well, there was no major physical assault in my opinion. Yes, he had a lot of voltage go through him. They didn't whack him around the legs, the arms or anything with the baton to try and get him to disarm him. They didn't actually physically hit him. Yes, they pepper sprayed him. It's irritating, but it's not enough to hurt you that much. It's just really irritating, that's all it is. And then the taser, it's there to neutralise you and disarm you. It's not like the police officer fired any rounds into him to like disarm him, into his legs or into his chest or anything like that. It was all bits of equipment that, yes, it will cause a little bit of harm, but it's not going to cause too much. It's not going to seriously hurt someone, but it is going to neutralise the threat and disarm the, you know, the man with the knife. It did come out, like I said, he was delirious from a UTI. He was an amputee in a wheelchair. And this is where it's really hard as well, because the police officer, I believe, said he come out and didn't see that he was in a wheelchair. You've got split seconds to make decisions when you're going in, okay? So you're going in, you're trying to look, obviously, at the target. You're also looking around the room to make sure there's no other threats. But your main focus is the target. He's got a knife, so you're concentrating on that, because you don't want him to lunge at you with a knife, so you're keeping your distance. But your brain is trying to process so much information, that I guarantee you the majority of people, when someone's pointing a knife at them, the adrenaline's pumping and you've got to neutralise them, and not going to notice that he was an amputee in a wheelchair. I guarantee it, the majority of you would not have noticed, unless you're in those situations all the time, like a really well-trained armed response officer, soldier, someone who's trained to basically be in a scenario and make that split-second decision. Do I pull the trigger or not? Is he actually pointing a weapon at me, or is it just something else? Is he running towards me shouting for help? The best example I can give you this is Celebrity SAS Who Dares Wins. They do a scenario on there where the contestants, the celebrities, not even the celebrities, they do the normal SAS Dares Who Wins, okay? The contestants basically get hooded and they get dragged across a field with loads of noises going around and explosions going off, weapon systems going off, being shouted at by the instructor. They then get behind some sort of cover. The instructor gives them a weapon and someone comes running at them, and you have to make the decision of whether to pull the trigger or not. But do I engage or not? And a lot of people pull the trigger. They start shooting at this person running them. They're in uniform. What they don't realise is they've got their hands up. They've got an ally flash on, so like a Canadian flash, saying help, help, or something like that. So you basically just shot a friendly soldier. You just committed murder. That is the same situation. Yes, the police are trained, but they're going into a room and they've got to make these decisions. And you're trying to look for other threats while trying to keep your eyes on this threat. You possibly, not everyone's going to realise that there's an amputee in a wheelchair. And whether he is or not, you can sit there and talk to him, but the police don't always have that amount of time. They don't have hours and hours to sit there and try and talk a target down. They've just got to do the job. They've got to get the job done. So, but they've got to be reasonable, proportionate and necessary. So that's my thoughts on it. I think they were right in what they've done. They could have maybe waited a little bit longer, but they gave plenty of warnings. They didn't obviously know he had a UTI infection, so no one's really going to understand that. The information they were given before was that he was a threat. He's said multiple times that he was going to take joy in murdering the staff there. So yeah, hope everyone is well though. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you do click that subscription button, turn the notifications bell on, and if you want some great tasting coffee, head over to combatreadyhq.co.uk. Go and check out our coffee. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.